Hello everyone, I'm Glenn Weir. I'm the Assistant Commissioner for Road Policing with Victoria Police in Australia. I'm here today with Sergeant Madeline Gillard from our media unit just to talk through some of the things that we're doing in Victoria that we hope might be of interest and of use to our partners in order to deliver road safety outcomes.
Thanks for your time today, Glenn. So as the person responsible for the role Victoria Police play in road safety, what's your strategic approach to working collaboratively with partner agencies toward reducing road trauma? And what benefit does this bring to your road safety mission?
Yeah, so we've recently launched the Victoria Police Road Safety Strategy 2021 to 2024. It has a principles-based approach towards delivering road safety. There's three principles involved, but I suppose the most relevant one to this forum is engaging with our road safety partners and our community to build effective relationships, to collaboratively influence road user behaviour, and to focus on our organisational priorities. We're lucky in Victoria, I suppose we've got long-standing and well-established relationships with our key partners, such as the Transport Accident Commission, the Victorian Government Department of Transport, the Victorian Government Department of Justice and Community Safety, and the Victorian Government Department of Health. A key part of aligning our organisations is to ensure we're consistent with our messages, that we're integrated in our approach across the different organisations, and that we're always thinking about the downstream impacts on how any of the programs that each of us might undertake integrate with what the other partners are doing. I suppose we have well-structured engagement through both the executive level of those organisations and at the officer level. So we also consider each other's strategies very much. For example, our recently released strategy leverages off the Victorian Government Road Safety Strategy, which is a 10-year document going up till 2030. And we join up with them in the ultimate goal of a 50% reduction in road fatalities by 2030. The personal relationships, though, between the key people in each partner organisations are very important. Partnerships and strategies are foundational to success, but a really collegiate and integrated public face has to be delivered. You do this through developing personal relationships, and these are the key to ensuring that any issues that might pop up are worked through. These relationships also allow leaders in the partnership to assist each other to grow and develop our own capabilities. It's really important.
Can you please discuss some of the key areas of focus and risk factors that you'll target to keep the community safe on your roads and why?
So our recently released Victoria Police Strategy has 7 key areas of focus that address the most prevalent risks to road safety in Victoria. And these are quite common, but ones that we've highlighted specifically. They are intentional high-risk driving. So we want to prevent high-risk behaviour, prevent organised hoon driving meetings. We want to smash any link to public order offending and rigorously enforce breaches of the road safety law and use our extensive car impound legislation. To do this, we'll use our recently uplifted fleet of automatic number plate recognition vehicles, ANPR vehicles, which is also linked to in-car video and individual body-worn cameras that every uniformed police member wears. We also use our highly developed intelligence and follow-up investigative practices and our expanded aviation capacity. So the second area of focus is rural roads. We know that users of rural roads are 4 times more likely to be killed than those in metropolitan Melbourne. We engage with our partners around infrastructure, education of road users, and we use intelligence-led tasking and enforcement in the rural area. Our third area of focus is speed. So we know again that speed contributes to 30% of fatalities each year and about 25% of serious injury collisions. So high speeds are subject to our impound laws, which we use regularly. And we also work with our partners in the Department of Justice and Community Safety to deploy mobile speed cameras to high-risk areas, and also work with them as they expand their fixed road safety camera capacity. An obvious area of focus for all of us, I suppose, is impaired driving by drugs and alcohol users. 5% of drivers in Victoria admit to regularly driving over the legal alcohol limit of 0.05. And we know that drug driving contributes to about 30% of fatalities. Methamphetamine is the most common drug detected in roadside drug testing. And we currently test at the roadside for cannabis, MDMA, ecstasy, and methamphetamine. We're starting to work through how we can test for cocaine and other drugs at the roadside as well. Surprisingly, and unfortunately, another area of focus for us is seatbelts and restraints. Although technology has improved, we still know that 18% of vehicle occupants who died in 2020 were not wearing a seatbelt. And that was similar numbers last year in 2021. So this is still a key area of focus for us. The emerging risk around distraction devices, so mobile phones, car radios, GPS and other devices, cause about 11% of deaths in Victoria, with 30% of drivers admitting to using a mobile phone illegally while behind the wheel. Also, GPS and passenger mobile devices and passenger behaviour are also big contributors to distraction, which sees us have a real problem in that area. Unauthorised drivers who aren't meant to be driving, we are absolutely targeting those who are unlicensed, who are driving with a suspended licence or have been disqualified from driving. People who have their licences removed or suspended have this done for a reason, as they've engaged in risky behaviour that attract a sanction. We take the view that having a driver's licence is a privilege, it's not a right, and we won't hesitate in taking that privilege away from people who shouldn't be on the road because they're really, really dangerous.
So we've heard about distractions, speed, unauthorised drivers and restraints. How important is intelligence for tasking police in the fight against road trauma?
So it's really vital for us to the success of any operation to have access to real-time and accurate intelligence. All of us, every road policing or law enforcement agency has limited resources, so we have to ensure that as often as possible we have our resources in the right place, at the right time, engaged in the right activity to deliver safety outcomes. But we also recognise the need for general deterrence, to have highly visible resources engaged in enforcement activity or preventative activity within high traffic areas. This creates a real impact via a halo effect, so those road users who drive past an intercept or see some sort of activity occurring, it has an impact on them. So we always aim for a combination of general deterrence, but specific activity as well, using intelligence-led practice.
So where does Victoria Police draw this intelligence from to shape operations?
Yeah, it's a really good question and one that's sort of developing. So we draw our data from a variety of sources to inform deployments and activity around road policing operations. We have a lot of internal intelligence sources, and some of those, but not limited to those, are our traffic incident system. So that's our internal online reporting system used to record all vehicular collisions that police attend or have reported to us. We use our Victoria Police Law Enforcement Assistance Program, which is our police database that records all criminal incidents, criminal and traffic histories of people that are processed or come to our attention, so that we can use that intel to target high-risk people. We use data from the Victoria Police Traffic Camera Office. So that provides details of those drivers captured by fixed or mobile speed cameras that are breaking the law. Those cameras are operated by the State Government Department of Justice and Community Safety, but we have a good relationship where we use that intel. We also obviously use our computer-aided data, our computer-aided dispatch data. That has all the information of calls made to police by community members reporting incidents, and we analyse that to identify hotspots and areas of critical trauma. As well as our internal intel, we also draw from a lot of external agencies and sources. Some of these include the Transport Accident Commission, so they supply data around fatal and serious injury collisions that supplements our crash data through our traffic incident system. The Victorian Government Department of Transport, so they regulate all the driver licensing and vehicle registration in Victoria, so we gain a lot of intel from their databases as well. And we also access the Victorian Government Department of Health, So they supply us with data on hospital admissions and other health factors, including drug or alcohol presentations after admission or treatment in a motor vehicle collision. We use a lot of Victorian government data, including tourism data from various agencies. So it provides us with a lot of traffic flow volume, tourist activity and tourist hotspot data, so we can allocate our resources accordingly there. In Victoria, we have 79 local councils, local governments, both in the metropolitan urban area and in the rural area. And they're really key partners in providing information and intelligence about local issues, both real and perceived, and community feedback from local residents. And finally, we get a lot of information, opinion and research papers from key academic partners, such as the Monash University Accident Research Centre, a really highly regarded international body.
And are there data sharing arrangements in place with these external agencies?
Yeah, so all of those agencies and bodies that I mentioned, we have data sharing arrangements in place that are governed by memorandums of understanding with that relevant agency, and all of those agreements are approved by the Victoria Police Commercial Law Division.
So do the risk factors impacting road trauma from urban to rural roads differ? And if so, what does this mean for police in preventative and enforcement activities in those areas?
Yeah, it is absolutely different. So for example, last year in 2021, we lost 232 lives on Victorian roads. This was the third lowest on record, but we know it was heavily impacted by COVID-19 restrictions as Victoria experienced large periods of lockdown, restriction of movement, and in some instances of full curfew of movement between 9 p.m. and 5 a.m. In the rural parts of Victoria, 108 lives were lost. Although this was only, it's the second best on record, only bettered in 2018 when 99 lives were lost. And things are really different between metro and rural. There are different challenges in rural areas. We see a lot more lives lost involving heavy vehicles, as these vehicles are more prominent in rural locations. Infrastructure uplift is another focus of government, and the rollout of a lot more wire rope barriers to separate motorists travelling in different directions and to prevent motorists colliding with fixed objects such as trees have proven really effective in rural areas. One issue we do have is that in the remote areas have limited police resources. So we do see more risk-taking involving speeding, drink and drug driving, and more of a lack of seatbelt compliance. So we go back to that key partnership arrangements we have with the Transport Accident Commission and local road safety committees to see the use of significant signage and advertising on rural areas to highlight these safety risks. Police can't be everywhere at all times, so we need our partners to help in this regard.
Okay. So how do you ensure the activities of your road policing practitioners remain focused on achieving the objectives of your road safety strategy?
Yeah, in Victoria we have a well-structured and engaged process for aligning our strategy with our actions. This includes monthly tasking meetings, engaging all the subject matter experts across Victoria Police. The coordination of activities using contemporary intelligence to address the 7 key areas of focus outlined in our strategy is really vital to achieving long-term outcomes through shorter-term actions. We really encourage and insist on active supervision and accountability of activity on the front line, with debriefing and reflection on operations to capture the lessons learnt so we can build that into continuous improvement. These activities inform the updating of our intelligence and contribute to the planning for the next tasking cycle. The structure's also extended to key external partners, so we have a key stakeholder activity that ensures that not only police enforcement activities are efficient, but the activities of our partners are integrated into the whole of sector approach. And we engage them in the planning, the operation, and see if we can learn from each other. That's working really well.
Thanks, Glenn. So what specific policing activities do your staff undertake in an endeavour to reduce drivers impaired by drugs or alcohol?
Yeah, so as I previously mentioned, impaired drivers through drugs or alcohol is one of the real key areas of focus for us. And we've been at the forefront in Victoria of drug and alcohol testing of drivers. We were the first state in Australia to introduce random breath testing in 1976 to detect those driving above the legislated blood alcohol concentration of 0.05. Since then, we've continuously improved our practice and our technology around alcohol testing. We now do more than 3 million preliminary breath tests each year, although obviously, like a lot of other activities that we would have all faced, that's been impacted by the pandemic in 2020 and 2021. It's an activity undertaken by the entire workforce with area of focus in our road policing drug and alcohol section and highway patrols. We're really well supported with specific drug and alcohol buses, but we do market it in the media that every police vehicle is a potential drug and alcohol bus. We encourage the whole of workforce being involved in that testing. We use intelligence to task our buses in specific operations, as I talked about some of our intelligence holdings before. And we have set requirements for every patrol vehicle to breath test all drivers who've been intercepted, anywhere, anytime. In terms of drugs, we pioneered roadside drug testing in 2005, and we now conduct over 150,000 preliminary oral fluid tests each year. We test for cannabis, methamphetamine and MDMA. We're also expanding that, I think as I previously mentioned, to include cocaine and other drugs.
Okay, so what type of enforcement technology is available for use currently in Victoria Police? And are there any further technological advances pending or expected to bring benefit to your vision?
Yeah, so like all policing jurisdictions around the world, I suppose, we develop technological capabilities to assist the front line. I've talked about some around preliminary breath test kits for every vehicle, 300 evidentiary breath testing instruments across Victoria, preliminary oral fluid tests that give an indication of presence of drugs, and then evidentiary oral fluid tests. And these are used by every highway patrol unit and the drug and alcohol section. We now have automatic number plate recognition technology, which we've had for a long time, but it's now fitted to every one of our 221 highway patrol vehicles across Victoria. And we're doing ongoing work to broaden this capacity across more general duties police vehicles. So ANPR detects stolen vehicles, unregistered vehicles and drivers that are unauthorised and present a really high risk as one of the key areas of focus of our strategy. Specific flags on the ANPR hot list can also be entered for wanted owners or vehicles across a whole range of criminal parameters as well. All the highway patrol vehicles are fitted with moving mode radar, which can detect speeding motorists from a long way out. And some of the general duties vehicles in remote areas have that capability as well. The MMR allows continuous detections of vehicle moving towards police vehicles, and we view it as a force multiplier in terms of road safety. That supplements our handheld radar capability, which is really broadly available across the entire organisation, and also the fixed and mobile speed cameras that are operated by the Department of Justice and Community Safety. We're really lucky that we've had a recent uplift in our air wing capacity and capability, and we now have a 24/7 air presence using rotary airframes. And the coordination across the workforce in vehicle intercepts and vehicle pursuits is really of a high level. It's a great safety gain for us and the community, and an efficiency gain as well. And we also supplement that fixed wing with a drone fleet for specific operations.
It's great that Victoria has seen an overall sustained reduction in road trauma over the last 50 years. To your mind, what does the next decade look like for Victoria Police in your efforts to reduce road trauma and serious injuries even further?
Yeah, this is the constant challenge, I suppose, for all policing and road safety entities. We have to continuously improve our activity around the prevention of road trauma, our associated enforcement, with a desire, I suppose, certainly in Victoria, to improve our mindset of shared responsibility with all road users. The risk of our messaging or our activity becoming white noise is really significant. And to this end, I suppose, we constantly consider all aspects of our road policing and what we do. In Victoria, we're sort of embarking on an opportunity to embrace the new normal that post-COVID life will bring, and I suppose everyone will do that across the world. The state and federal governments in Victoria and Australia have invested billions of dollars in infrastructure upgrades across both the road network and public transport. And we see that as a real opportunity to use this uplift to focus on all safe systems aspects in terms of road safety. The uplift also sees broader rollout of integrated CCTV across the road network and road management technology and applications. Also, the increase in vehicle safety attributes will also assist us, we hope. As a policing agency, we're revisiting our activities in line with our recently released road safety strategy to make sure that we're integrating our activity with all of those other initiatives. We're very conscious that technology will continue to evolve, but the human aspect of road safety can't be ignored. And I think there's a real risk that if we rely too much on technology, then we'll lose that human face. I think the ability to engage the community and our key partners and stakeholders over the next 10 years is going to be really vital. We need to promote and embrace innovation, but I think the development of a deeper self-management of care by all road users in integrating operations and activity with our key stakeholders is the absolute key.
And what advice would you have for police leaders in low to middle income countries to reduce their incident of road deaths and injuries?
I mentioned before that every agency, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, has finite resources, and we all have so many competing demands. I think this has been even more apparent during the last 2 years of the pandemic. So it's really vital that there's a coordinated approach to get the right assets in the right location, at the right time, and doing the right activities to maximise road safety outcomes. It's paramount from a Victorian perspective, and I would encourage other jurisdictions to focus on this to ensure that you use all your available intelligence where possible to understand your risk factors and where and when they occur through a robust tasking and coordination process. It's absolutely vital. The need for continuous improvement and reflection is very important as well. We constantly do that in Victoria. We've also got to constantly engage with other jurisdictions and key academic and road safety partners to understand what good practice, what innovation and what activity is occurring. You can't change things unless you know what's going on. Broaden your scope. It may be that activities and efforts in other jurisdictions are not applicable in our environment in Victoria or in your environment, but we should constantly strive for knowledge and exposure to new and innovative ideas. Collaborative partnerships with other agencies and the public to share responsibility for road safety is really vital. And the public trust and confidence are key if we want to take them on the journey and share the load. Constant, ethical and service-orientated activities need to be embedded in everything we do, and they need to be sustained to see if we're going to make sure we have continued reductions in road trauma. We have an ongoing need, and in Victoria we promote this, and I encourage you to think about it, to have that ongoing need to promote and highlight upcoming police operations and the benefits in road trauma, that those benefits to families, to the health system and to the economy of your country or your particular area. The use of the media in all formats, print, electronic and social platforms, is a really vital skill and capability in getting our message across. Similarly, I think we need strong internal messaging and active, energetic leadership within our workforces to promote the attributes I've outlined above. Thanks for your time, and I wish you all a very safe 2022, and I hope there's something of interest in today's presentation.